Hello and welcome to this episode this is a crossover episode of the Psychic School podcast and Aphantasia Experiments. If you're new to Aphantasia Experiments, that's my podcast where I talk about ways I'm trying to cure my own aphantasia. And if you're new to the Psychic School podcast, that's where I am trying to develop my psychic skills and my mediumship skills and teach others along my journey. So this is a crossover episode because I feel like it relates to both of my journeys. They really kind of cross over. They're two passions I have. And what I'm kind of finding is the more I learn about how my mind works, the more I learn about my own intuition. And I one of the things that got me really interested in learning more about my aphantasia was I started doing this exercise where I would shine a light in my eye and then describe what I would see, like the blobs in my eyelids once I closed my eyes. And I did this for a while and I ended up seeing a blue star. And this is like why I got really interested in this, because I feel like if I was able to see a blue star, I should be able to see anything. I just need to focus and practice and learn and develop, right? So I'm trying all different types of meditation, hypnosis, all different stuff. But I'm also trying to develop my intuition and listen to the voice that, drops into my head. Again, the voice that I hear in my head is my own voice. And I'm going to talk more about that in another episode because I've had some pretty wild experiences lately with other people's voices. So I feel like my clairaudient part of me is really opening up more and more. But not in this episode. So this episode, I wanted to talk about clairvoyance. Being clairvoyant, I should say that. So whenever people talk about being clairvoyant, I'm like, nope, that's not me. I can't even visualize. I'm not clairvoyant. That's not me. I skim over it in my psychic development books. When someone's talking about it on a podcast, I'm like, no, that's not for me because I can't visualize. Okay, I know I'm clairaudient. I know I'm clair-knowing or whatever that is. That's where I lean into. But then I was at Value Village, which is the thrift store here in Ontario, Canada. The other day, it's my routine. I go to the gym there, right next to it. There's a steam room. I relax and meditate in there, and then I take a cold shower. Then I meditate more in the steam room. This is part of my meditative practice. Anyways, and then I go to Value Village to see if there's any good spiritual books, and there always is. So I picked up this book. It's called Psychic Navigator: Harnessing Your Inner Guidance by John Holland. Okay? So I picked it up. It's a small book. I'm I've read so much on psychic development, but this is a good pocket read. It's you could put it in the bathroom. I don't know why you'd put it in the bathroom, but it's just a short read, really easy. I keep just picking it up and reading random pages. And one random page I just stumbled upon was the page that said indicators of being clairvoyant. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to read it, even though I know I'm not, I'm going to read these to you because maybe you have aphantasia and you're like, I'm not clairvoyant. There's no way. See if you resonate with any of these, because I did with every single one. Okay. Do you often experience vivid, highly memorable dreams? I do. And I know a lot of people with aphantasia say they don't dream or they don't remember their dreams, whatever. I've done a lot of dream work, and I definitely don't always remember my dreams, but when I have dreams, they are real life. They're I'm living. I see people. I've lucidly dreamt, so I know that I actually visualize my dreams. So I know that for a fact about myself, even though I can't visualize, I can see in my dreams. Then the next one was, are you the sort of person who doesn't wear a watch because you have the ability to actually visualize what time it is? Now I know I don't visualize what time it is, but I literally have never set an alarm in my life. It's not been a thing. I am married. My husband gets up earlier than me, typically. So I don't have to, but never, in high school when I had an exam in the morning, or I never set an alarm. Never. It's never been a thing. I think maybe once or twice for an early flight, but I always woke up before the alarm went off. Like always. And even now, like my husband's alarm goes off and it's not for me, but I'll wake up 2 minutes before it goes off. I have that internal alarm clock. I've always had that. But in my mind, that was like a clair-knowing, not a clairvoyant um, aspect, I guess, because I don't see the clock in my head. I just know the time. So that was an interesting one. And then it says, are you good at picturing exactly where to place furniture to enhance the energy or design of your home or office? And again, I don't visualize it, but if I go into a room, I know how to fix it to make it feel better and more easy and breezy and cohesive and nice. And that kind of stuff really matters to me. Lighting really matters to me. Like I know how to make a room feel more inviting and warm and calming and joy infused. But do I visualize it before? No, I don't. But anyways, so that was one of them. Interesting. And have you ever looked at others and known that they were coming down with something even though they appeared quite healthy? Now, this is something I've always had, and I didn't really know I had it until probably the last 5 or 6 years. Like I know when people are gonna die. I know I can see there's like it's like their skin color is different, but like nobody else seems to notice that. So there's I don't know, there's this like presence of it, but I don't actually see anything. I just know it. So again, I feel like that lies in the clair-knowing, not the clairvoyant indicators. But anyways, this book said that, and I was like, huh, maybe I have a little bit of clairvoyancy. Oh, and there's one more. Sorry. When talking to people on the phone, can you envision what they might look like, even though you've never met them before? Um, That's an interesting one because when I'm reading a book, I always try to picture the person in my head, and I can't. But I'll like think of like an actress or an actor or a person that I know in my life, and then I will connect that character to that person kind of thing. So I relate it to someone because even though I can't see those people in my head, I can like conceptualize them because I've seen people like that, if that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense. So I definitely will kind of come up with the person I think it is, like conceptually in my mind. And then if I meet that person later and they don't look like that, I will be shocked, but it's hardly ever like that. Um, Including like my babies, I knew the sex before any of my ultrasounds. Like I always knew what I was having because whenever I tried to envision either sex, it would always switch to the other sex. So like when I had 2 boys and then 2 girls. And my last one, especially, I was like going to the ultrasound appointment and I was like trying to picture it being a boy. And it was like this, again, conceptual because I don't visualize. It just kept switching to a girl. It was like it couldn't not be a girl. And then it was a girl. So, um, I feel like it's more of a clear knowing than, anyways. Point is, this book got me reading more about being clairvoyant, and the exercise that followed um, was to relax your eyes and stare into the flame of a candle. And now this like goes back to my own experiment on myself with shining the light in my eye and then closing my eyes and describing what I saw. So this is like a combination, right? So I feel like this whole time when I was doing this exercise uh, to help me visualize, I was actually developing my own clairvoyant, um, you know, I always get the verbs here mixed up. I know it's like so stupid, but I'm stumbling on my words because I keep saying clairvoyancy, clairvoyant, blah, blah. Anyways, You don't care. So I'm going to just read what it says here for the exercise. So you're going to get a candle, you're going to light it, and you're going to relax your eyes and stare into the flame. You'll feel your eyes start to water. When they do, close them and put the palm of each hand over each eye to create a total blackout. Now I have like a sleep mask that I put over my face. You should now start to notice that the flame is flickering slightly above between your brows. Wait until the flame disappears, then do the exercise again for another 10 to 15 minutes. What you're actually doing is training and developing your clairvoyant eye. So now you know that this special spot is just above the bridge of your nose, not where you look straight out with your physical vision. The next time you want to use your psychic abilities to help answer a question or decision, start by closing your eyes, and gently focusing on your third eye area. Then go ahead and ask the questions. As always, remember to be specific. When you do so, write down in your journal. Oh, there's way more. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so I did this and I was staring at the flame for like 15 minutes and then I closed my eyes and like I would see. So what I ended up doing was I just said out loud what I saw, and I was seeing different colors and shapes and whatnot. And then I did it again for another 15 minutes. And I was doing it at nighttime, and it was very dark. I'm pretty sure it was a new moon. So it was like very dark out. No light in my room. I blew the candle out, and instead of closing my eyes, I just kind of stared forward. And there was blotches and whatnot. But then what caught my attention was on the right side of the room, I saw this something red floating. It was like the top right area. And so I looked towards it slowly because I was worried that it was like an orb in my vision from staring at the flame for so long. And instead of the orb moving, which is what it should do if it was like a flare, right? Like from the light, it stayed in that position so I could look right at it. And I noticed, like I realized right away because I was looking at it now, that it was a red heart. And hearts have been something that have been showing up for me all over the place, like everywhere. Like every time I spill something, it's like a puddle of hearts. And every time I cook something, it's shaped in a heart, like everything. There's a bruise on my apple, it's a heart. I fell and I bruised my knee, heart. Everything's a heart. Everything is heart. So this was just wild that this is what I got after doing this clairvoyant activity of staring at a flame. But it wasn't with my eyes closed. It was like staring, and it was out in front of me. It wasn't in my mind. It was out in front of me. It was there. It was a heart, and I was staring at it. And it wasn't just a blur. It was like a heart. And then it turned. I watched it turn into a red balloon, like with the string and everything. And then it floated up and like higher and higher, like it was like going into the sky. So it got smaller and smaller and smaller and disappeared. And I said out loud this whole time, I was like, I see this. I know this is real. This is not pretend. I'm seeing this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because like, this is like everything I've always wanted, right? I want to be able to see things. I want to be able to visualize. Is being able to visualize the same thing as being clairvoyant? Is it? Are all these people who visualize just like seeing into the future? Or seeing spirits, or I don't know, because I've never been able to do either of them. Now, I don't know what it's like to visualize. Is that what it's like to visualize? Is it feel like it's external, like you're seeing something in the 3D reality that we're in right now? Is that how it feels? I don't know, because I've never been able to do it. I've had people tell me that it feels like it's like in the back of your mind, you're seeing something. I've had someone else tell me that it feels like it's a monitor kind of going off. So I would love to hear. You can send me an email. The email that's best for, I have two for these podcasts, but the one that I like people sending stuff to is psychicschoolpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, I have aphantasia. I wanted to be psychic my whole life. This sounds really cool. I've tried this or whatever. Like, you want to get through to me and tell me something you've done or an experience you had, please share it with me. I'm so interested and excited about people who are interested and excited about like this stuff, you know? And there's not that many people out there that are like really excited about, you know, the way our minds work and developing intuition and just discovering new ways of thinking and being and yeah. Anyways, that was a bit of a rant, but I wanted to share my experience because seeing that red balloon and seeing that heart, which are two symbols that really, really mean a lot to me. The heart's just because it feels like I'm being supported, you know? I feel so supported every time I see the hearts because it's usually, you know, something bad will happen. Like again, I fell off my porch the other day and I smashed my knee really hard, and as it's healing, I'm like looking at the scab right now. It's disgusting, and it's a heart shape. And there's been so many times that that's happened, so it just feels so much like, okay, yes, there are bad times, there are things that are happen to us, but these hearts are just showing that I'm being supported and loved along the way. So I just love that. And so that's like the first thing that I visualize. Like I think that's pretty awesome. And red has been such a big color for me in the last, you know, three or 4 months. I had a meditation where I was told that my spirit, my higher self, my name was Roja Salvador, and I was like, I have no idea what that means. And then I looked up, I like what Salvador means in Roja, and it meant the red savior. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? And then I was thinking maybe it has something to do with the root chakra and helping people become more grounded. Anyway, so red has been like a color that's been coming up, and then I had a dream where I was helping someone cross over and I was wearing all red. I still haven't really fully gotten to the bottom of what this red situation means. If anyone has any good stories about the color red, that might help me discover what that might mean. Please send along your thoughts and ideas. I would love to hear from you. Anyways, I just wanted to share that experience and you know, say that if you have aphantasia and you're like, I'm not psychic, I can't do this, I can't whatever. I feel like becoming psychic is a very slow process because each thing that happens is so exciting and scary at the same time. And if it all happened at once, it would be so petrifying. So if you didn't grow up with these abilities and it just like starts, it can be really freaky. And I've had like my entire life, I've believed in this stuff, but it's only in the last like 3 years that I've really understood what's going on and how important it is to protect myself and those sort of things. So I mean, I feel like it can take like a lifetime to really learn about these things. So if you're like, oh no, I can't do it. If you really want to do it, you can do it. It just takes time and it's a slow moving beast, but I think it's slow moving for a reason. That's what I'm kind of discovering on my own. And the other thing I wanted to say about clairvoyance. So this is before the heart thing happened, actually. About a week before. This was on Father's Day in Canada, 2023, which I think was July 16th. It was Sunday. I woke up. I can't go on to it now because I'm recording this on my phone. But I woke up and went for a walk in the morning, and it just felt like the entire energy of the world was completely different. Like all the birds were kind of moving in sync and all the leaves were like sparkling in a certain way, and I felt this vibration like going through me, like I knew everything about everything in the entire universe. And which is what I feel like that when I get into a deep trance, like in meditation. But this was like on my walk, I was walking and I was like, I know the answer to the world. Like I know what the meaning of life is, and everything is magical and beautiful. And I was having so many downloads and so many things were hitting me. and like I just understood everything, and I understood like problems that were going to happen with the world and why they needed to happen and how it was going to change humanity. Like everything was in my brain that day. It was so crazy. And I reached out to a couple of friends and I was like, do you feel the energy? And one friend said that she was exhausted, and another friend felt like she was like getting a lot of downloads too. And then my one friend had like a visitation that night, and her alarm was going off at her house. Anyway, so that day was just wild. And then I think my friend told me a few days later that the Schumann resonance, and I never really understand. It's like the energy that's going off. I think it's how many lightning bolts are like hitting the world at any given time. It makes the vibration of the world higher or whatever. Well, the Schumann resonance, which is what it's called. Again, if I'm saying that wrong and butchering it, I'm sorry. Um, was like off the charts that day, and I was like, what? That's crazy. So now I'm like interested in learning about that. So if you ever have days where you feel like, what is happening? I'm so psychic today. Like everything is speaking to me. Everything is so loud and whatever. Maybe check out, is the Schumann resonance high that day. Anyways, back to my day. I'm going all over the place here, but I feel like I had so much to say about being able to visualize and learning those skills. So on that day, which the day with the Schumann resonance was off the charts, I think someone said, and this might have been something made up on TikTok, that the shape of like the graph was like turning into like sacred geometry shapes and stuff. Like, again, I don't know. I don't know how to read that stuff. So, but anyways, I found that really interesting because that whole day I was just like, what is happening? But on that walk, I was walking and I was just talking, because I do this on my walk. I'll walk and I'll send a voice note to one of my friends, or I'll listen to someone talking to me and respond, or I'll listen to a podcast. But I was just staring ahead, and I think I was talking, and sorry, I saw an orb. You know, like when you take a picture on your iPhone and in the iPhone picture you see the orb come up and it's like the lens flare or whatever? I saw that and I wasn't looking through my phone. It was just like it popped up, this orb, and then it disappeared. And it was there. It was in front of me. It was like a giant firefly or something, but then it was just like this ball, and then it went away. And it was there, but only for a second, but it went away, and I was like, huh, I saw that. That was real. And I say it out loud. Every time something happens, I'm like, that was real. And every time I feel like I have to say it out loud, because if I don't say it out loud, it doesn't like sit in my brain properly. Because I think as a child, I had many experiences, but I tried to shut them down as not real. And now I'm like, no, they're real. Believe they're real. Acknowledge they're real. You know, if you feel something at the edge of your bed, acknowledge that shit. Don't just like hide away and pretend it didn't happen, you know? Maybe there's a spirit there that needs your help. Maybe you need to Jennifer Love Hewitt those ghosts away, you know? Help them cross over. I really think that might be a calling of mine. I've had a few people come through in my dreams that have crossed, and I'm trying to figure out what that means. I'm also having dreams where I'm surrounded by my guides, and I still like I wake up and I don't know who they are, but in my dream I'm like, I know all these people, I recognize them all, we're all in a circle, they're all teaching me something, and then I wake up and I don't remember what I learned, but I assume it's coming out in my day-to-day life. I feel like my soul is being pulled in so many directions right now, and the main direction is away from the work that I'm currently doing. And I'm just so excited for the journey that I'm kind of on right now, to see where it takes me and what lies ahead. I feel like I've made so much progress in the last few weeks with my psychic development. I know it might seem small to someone out there who's listening who can like visualize all these miraculous things, but to see a heart that was like a legit heart turn into a red balloon and float away for someone who can't see, you know, in her mind's eye, it was pretty miraculous. And um, I've also Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'll stop talking there. Um, but I've also opened up in different ways with my clear audience. lately. And it's just, what I want to say is the progress is so little. It feels little, but it feels so profound and huge. It just feels like every little bit that opens up is like such a big deal. And it's so noticeable, especially because I didn't have, like, I can't hear voices in my head. So when I hear a voice in my head, I'm like, that's not my voice. That's new. That's a different experience. And I'm acknowledging it. And I feel like that goes back to me, like, in the last year of my life, really digging deep into how my brain works and how my thought process works. And if I hadn't done that before, I might not have even realized that this is like a new skill that's dropping into my head. Um, it's really, it's really wild to connect the dots to who I was a year ago to who I am now, and who I was 10 years ago to who I am now. Um, Anyways, it's all connected. If you're listening and you're like, man, it's all connected, because it's all connected. I'm telling you, it's all connected. Okay, that is my episode of the Psychic School podcast, as well as Aphantasia Experiments. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was a little bit of a tangent, but that's how I roll, because this is unscripted and that's how we do it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Love and joy and peace and happy development to everyone out there.